Welcome to Morning Coffee. So let me ask you, what about? Hmm? What about? You see, as we go through life, we experience many different emotions, and how we choose to deal with these emotions can and will direct the path that we choose to take with these emotions. And things like depression, anxiety, fear, and grief. When we choose to build a relationship with these negative emotions, it takes hold in our lives and it becomes as to who we are. It doesn't have to be that way, as we can choose to build a relationship with joy, with fearlessness, with courage, and with peace. So, how do we do that? By building a relationship with Jesus Christ. In Philippians 4:13, it says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And in Psalms 34:17 and 18, it says, the righteous cry, and the Lord heareth, and delivered them out of all of their troubles. The Lord is near those who are brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. So we have promises right here that God is going to be there. He can take us out of this. He can rescue us from these negative emotions that we have, that we experience, and he can replace them with joy and courage and fearlessness. So today I want to go over as to what God's word says on how to overcome these negative emotions. Now, we have already covered the first and the most important step of doing that, and that is to build a relationship with Christ. So, what about depression? Well, Matthew 11:28 tells us, come to me, all who labor and are heavy burdened, and I will give you rest. See, after fleeing into the wilderness, Elijah, he cried out to God, oh, just let me die. But did God do that? No, he didn't. He didn't. Instead, he chose to give Elijah rest. And he sent an angel down to Elijah to minister to him and to watch over him so that Elijah could rise up out of that depression and be okay. So what about anxiety? Because depression and anxiety pretty much so go hand in hand with one another. Well, 1 Peter 5:7 says, cast all your anxieties on him because he cares for you. You see, David often turned to God to prayer to find comfort and guidance. And God would calm him because David had had a close relationship with God. And so God helped him overcome his anxiety. He helped him fight that and to bring David up out of it. So what about fear? Well, 1 Timothy 1:7 says, God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power, love, and self-control. See, Daniel was a righteous man, and he didn't have fear. But why didn't he? Because he chose to serve and honor God. See, Daniel was thrown into the lion's den, and Daniel had a choice. He could focus out on that fear that was put before him, those lions, ready to devour Daniel. But Daniel he chose not fear, but he chose to keep his eye on God. And because he did that, he was able to be rescued out of that. And so that next morning, they pulled Daniel out of the lion's den unharmed. You see, easily, if you would have focused on the fear, that would have devoured him. It would have totally overcome Daniel, but he chose not to. Well, what about her? You hear people say, well, you don't understand. You don't understand what they said to me. You don't understand what they did to me. If you did, you would understand. No, no, because in Psalms 34:18, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and save those who are crushed in spirit. And then again in Psalms 147:3, he said, he heals the broken in heart and bindeth up their wounds. See, what awesome promises right there. When we feel hurt, we can run to God. And not only is he going to heal that hurt, he's going to bind up that wound, that hurtful wound that was caused by somebody or something. So yeah, we may not forget about what had happened, but it doesn't allow us to hurt us anymore because we ran to God and he healed that up. What a promise. What a promise. We can tell friends or, that, hey, I never would have got through that if it wasn't for you. But we continue to feel the hurt. You see, when we run to God, when we run to Jesus, he takes that away. No friend can do that. So what about grief? Well, 2 Corinthians 1:4 says, God of all comfort, who comforts us in our afflictions, so that we may be able to comfort those who are in any affliction with the same comfort with which we ourselves are comforted by God. And Matthew 5:4 says, blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. That is so awesome. So God tells us right there that when you feel grief, I'm going to be right there with you. I will be right there with you to comfort you and to carry you through. We as believers, when we sign a card, a sympathy card, to go out to somebody, it's not unusual to read, may God give you peace and comfort. Why do we say that? Well, it's because God's word promises that to us. It's a promise to us, and we truly believe that because God will, and he does. So then what about hunger? Well, Luke 6:21 says, blessed are those who hunger, they will be satisfied. Well, when Elijah was in hiding, God sent a raven to him to bring him food, to take care of that need of being hungry. He didn't just do it once, but he did it twice a day as long as Elijah was in hiding. He cared for him. And see, and as we remember, as the Israelites wandered around the desert, well, when they left Egypt, they didn't know they were going to be wandering for 40 years. So, of course, they didn't take enough food and water to supply them for 40 years. So what did they do? Well, God sent them food. He sent manna from heaven. He gave them water when they needed water. He supplied all their needs. And he does the same for us today. It is another promise of God. That blessed are those who are hungry, but they will be satisfied. God takes care of all of our needs. Now, I'm not saying wants. I'm saying he takes care of all of our needs. In Psalms 22 or 55:22, says, cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. And then, again in Elijah 41:10, it reads, fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous hand. Wow. God can carry us through each and every one of these negative emotions. And as we know, there are so many more. Well, just on these few emotions here, there are so many more verses in the Bible that cover this. I just read off a few. See, many people say, well, that Bible is just a book of don'ts. Well, let's think about the don'ts. What are the don'ts? Don't murder. Don't lie. Don't commit adultery. Don't steal. What is bad about being told not to do these heinous things? You see, but that is so confused. That is so little. The Bible is not about a book of don'ts. It's a book of promises. Now, my husband, he always likes to use the acronym for Bible is basic instructions before leaving earth. Why? Well, because it is. It's a book to tell us how to live, to show us the right way to live. Because with God's promises, He also promises that He will direct our every step. He will show us the right way to go. He's not going to lead us into harm's way. He's going to walk us through each and one of our trials, whether it may be anxiety, depression, grief, fear, hungry. And there are so many more. He gives us direction. If we have a disability, He gives our disabilities purpose. He doesn't promise that He'll take away the disability, but He will give it purpose and He will use it for something beautiful. Okay, I hope this was helpful to you. I'm so glad you joined me today. And until next time.